F1 Manager 24 grid changes every race, round number 13, the 2024 Mexican Grand Prix. That is the race we are at now. This is the grid for this race today. Carlos Sainz at Mercedes, George Russell at McLaren, Max Verstappen at Aston Martin, Fernando Alonso at Sauber, Lewis Hamilton at Haas, Esteban Ocon at RB, Lando Norris at Ferrari, Oscar Piastri at Williams, Daniel Ricciardo at McLaren, Valtteri Bottas at Alpine, Pierre Gasly at RB, Charles Leclerc at Alpine, Kevin Magnussen at Red Bull, Alexander Albon at Mercedes, Yuki Tsunoda at Red Bull, Nico Hülkenberg at Sauber, Lance Stroll at Aston Martin, Sergio Perez at Ferrari, Logan Sargent at Haas, and Zhou Guanyu at Williams. That is the grid for this race. Now, not doing any more upgrades going onto the car for the rest of this season probably, but manufacturing a few more parts because we are running low, so manufacturing some more underfloors there. We're then going to manufacture a front wing. I believe this is, yep, that's front wing 2. So next up, chassis upgrade, get a couple of chassis as well, just to make sure we've got enough parts to get through at least this race weekend and hopefully through the rest of the season, because we have had a few crashes this season that haven't gone particularly well. Now, let's have a look at the race targets going to this race. Unfortunately, our car is not very well suited to this track. Car 1 performance is only 17, so basically we have the 9th best car on the grid, the second to worst car on the grid. So I went 16th or higher for Piastri, 18th or higher for Zhou, because I believe Piastri should do a better job than Zhou, even though he's in car 2. Both cars have the exact same upgrades on them, so that shouldn't affect how either car, you know, even though Piastri's in car 2 and it says his is the 18th best, Zhou's is the 17th best, it shouldn't have any difference. It's more just the case of, you know, it's car 1 and car 2. The better driver should do better, and Piastri, I believe, is the better driver than Zhou. And sure enough, in Q1 here, Piastri currently up in P12. Zhou currently right on the bubble here in P15. He might be improving a little bit on this lap, but he is there right on the bubble. And as he crosses the line here, goes yellow in the final sector, does not improve his time. And unfortunately, he does get knocked out of Q1, P17 for Zhou Guanyu. So about where the pace is with the car, actually. Piastri's definitely outperformed the car there, up there in P12. But yeah, Zhou in P17. Albon, the biggest shock from Q1 exit in the Mercedes, only P19, so not good for him. It's actually 5 different teams out in Q1, so that's a little bit of a surprise as well. And both Alpines, which I'm pretty sure are the worst 2 cars on the grid for this race, have both made it through to Q2, so that's also a fair surprise here. Unfortunately for Piastri though, he will not make it through to Q3, but hey, wasn't really to be expected. It was a bit of a shock to get into Q2, to be honest, with how our apparent performance was here. You know, we are on paper and I didn't actually show you the R&D for this one because I actually just forgot, but also there wasn't any change anyway. Teams don't seem to be putting new upgrades on their cars now. They're obviously, you know, preparing for the 2025 season, so no new upgrades seem to be going on any teams at the moment. We do have a front wing upgrade that we're still waiting to come through. That'll be our last upgrade for the season most likely, but that should be ready for next race. We'll have to wait and see, but yeah, other than that, nobody's really doing anything this time. Now, Piastri's fastest lap here that I'm showing you was his first lap in Q2, so yeah. Oh, actually, maybe not. No, actually, I'm not 100% sure. I might actually, this may be my first lap, it may not be. No, this is my first lap, yeah, so this was the best lap for Piastri, unfortunately. In the end, it's not enough, it's only P12 for him, but it's a decent enough performance. You know, I think P12 is pretty damn good, considering our car is supposedly 17th and 18th, so P12, pretty decent result for Bottas and Leclerc in the Alpines, actually 13 and 15 in what I'm pretty sure is the slowest car. If not, it was the Sauber, and they are just behind us as well, so not terrible from either of those cars. And Sergio Perez takes pole position at his home Grand Prix. He's yet to get even a podium so far in this 2024 season, so can he do that here for Ferrari at his home Grand Prix? Can he even win the race? That would be pretty big for Checo. So let's see what is in store for this Mexican Grand Prix.
It's almost time to get things going here in Mexico City as we settle down for 71 laps of breathtaking action.
We've seen some unbelievable action around the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in the past. Ferrari's Sebastian Vettel had to fight off both Red Bull drivers only to be demoted off the podium in 2016 in what was a highly controversial moment.
Thin air at this elevation means less airflow around the car. Drivers could struggle with cooling their cars and themselves around Mexico City's track. It's a physical test of technology and human endurance alike. It's race day, and final preparations are underway.
All right, so this is the strategy how the strategy is looking for this race. So Zhou from softs to mediums to hards, Piastri softs to hards to mediums. No rain expected in this race. Slightly different strategies for both of them, just mixing it around a little bit. So let's see how this goes.
Well then, it's not long until we get started here, and we should be in for a tightly contested race. And Alex Albon will know just what kind of drive will be expected of him here.
All the way back at 17, meaning there's not a lot of expectations on their shoulders.
Right, let's get to it then. This is it. Here we go with the Mexico City Grand Prix. And it's lights out and away we go.
Here we go. Perez off the line here. Got a good start. Looks like Tsunoda might be coming alongside him, but Russell's also had a great start in that McLaren. It's kind of 2 by 2 all the way back. However, Perez is kind of on his own out the front there, so it's actually been a pretty good start for him, and he will lead into turn 1, but Russell is giving Tsunoda a bit of a fight through these first couple of corners. Can he get up into second place in the McLaren? If so, it'll be a 3-6 for Red Bull, and sure enough, Russell has managed to get into the lead and is actually now squaring up a move on Perez, but not able to quite make the move. So Perez will lead this first lap on his home Grand Prix. Piastri in P12 here, overtaken Bottas already. I think we actually got overtaken by Bottas at the start and we managed to get back past him. There we go, look at that. Nice opportunistic move down the inside and up into the next corner, having a look at the Haas ahead, but yeah, not able to do anything there, but we at least get back past Bottas. But Bottas is looking pretty quick, so it makes me wonder if maybe these Alpines actually aren't the worst car. It might be the Saubers, but they're still right there behind Sainz as well. Hülkenberg and Alonso, both right behind Carlos Sainz. We're going to, though, eventually get past the Haas, who is struggling quite a bit. I believe that might be... Is Sargent in the Haas? No, 44. That'll be Hamilton. So Hamilton in the Haas there. Now, Albon trying to make his way through the order, of course, did not have a good qualifying. P19 for him, second slowest driver on the grid. He's now got himself past Zhou Guanyu, who is struggling a little bit towards the back of this grid. But Albon there making up a position in the Mercedes now. Piastri also struggling a bit here. Bottas has really flown off ahead in that Alpine, so they are actually showing that they have some decent pace here. Now Piastri's just been overtaken by Alonso and seemed to lose a lot of time there out of that corner, and that may now let the other Sauber have a go at him. He is able to get past a lap or so later, but then Piastri coming back at Hülkenberg once again up the inside into turn 1, and that puts Piastri back up ahead of Hülkenberg. But yeah, unfortunately we've moved a few positions down. There's then a yellow flag as we have a look at Charles Leclerc here fighting with Zhou Guanyu. There is Zhou Guanyu, and there's contact between the both of them. I think there might be a little bit of damage for potentially both cars here. Definitely damage though, I believe, for Zhou, which is not what we want. We seem to be always having these crashes and getting damage lately, and sure enough, yes, we have to bring Zhou into the pits. We're going to put him onto another set of soft compound tyres, and the front wing also needs to be changed. That is not what we want there. There we go, new front wing on the car. So it's a slow pit stop because of that, but that is not what we needed. We're going through front wings like they are going out of fashion. It is ridiculous. Piastri still fighting with the Saubers, getting past another one there. I'm not sure if that's Alonso or Hülkenberg. They're kind of, all kind of stuck together at the moment. Eventually the Saubers will come into the pits, and now Albon, who has a little bit of an issue. You can see the little yellow exclamation mark next to his name. He has some sort of car issue, so that maybe that's why he had the issue in qualifying as well. He does manage to get himself past Piastri though on lap number 10. But that shouldn't be too big of an issue for Piastri, you know, not really fighting the Mercedes anyway. Whereas at the front, it is 3 wide into turn 1. Perez has gone down to 3rd. It is now Tsunoda and Russell fighting for the win here. Russell had a great little overtake there. Tsunoda was in 3rd. He's now got himself up to P1. What a move for Yuki Tsunoda. There was a few laps where Perez and Russell were swapping positions for the lead. Tsunoda kind of came out of nowhere and has now taken the lead of this race. Now we have Esteban Ocon going for a move on one of our Williams cars. He was, didn't have a great qualifying either. That RB is actually a pretty quick car. It's like right there with the Aston Martin for like the 5th quickest car, maybe even ahead of Mercedes at some points. So the RB's looking to score some good points here, and Ocon trying to make his way through the order. And now we have Charles Leclerc getting past Piastri as well. So yeah, unfortunately, after a bit of a resurgence, Piastri is starting to lose a bit of time here now though, and now we have Fernando Alonso also gonna go and get past Piastri too. So struggling a little bit here is Oscar Piastri. We always seem to struggle quite a bit at the start of races, tend to come better later on in the race. We'll see how things go here because yeah, Alonso and the Sauber getting past us there on the same tyres. He may have come in for a pit stop, I think. We are leaving it a little bit longer, coming in for the hard tyre for Piastri now. As you can see, Zhou is way down the back here after that front wing change at the start. And now we have another issue. Is that another issue for Zhou? He's crashed on turn 16. What is he doing? We always seem to have this where one of our drivers is just making mistakes, whether it's Sargent or it's Zhou Guan Yu. Because we're getting these like bottom of the grid drivers. Just with the way things are working out at the moment, we're kind of swapping, you know, the lead driver for the worst, the lowest driver. Yeah, and he eventually gets a puncture as well. Has to come in again. Thankfully this time no damage to the front wing. But yep, onto medium compound tyres now for Zhou. So that is his 2nd pit stop, and we're only up to lap 18, and he is now a lap down on pretty much the entire field. So yeah, not going very well for him. Now the 2 Ferraris are fighting at the front. Norris has managed to get up with these lead drivers and now has actually overtaken his teammate to lead this Mexican Grand Prix for Lando Norris. So that's good for him. Sainz now leads the way, although he hasn't come into the pits yet, so he's not technically leading. Tsunoda will now take the lead, the actual proper lead of the race, gets past Sainz into turn 1, but then you can see behind Sainz goes for a spin in the Mercedes, doesn't hit anything, but spins off into the grass. That is not what the championship leader will want. You know, this is his opportunity to get some more points before he inevitably ends up back with us at Williams next race. But yeah, just spins the car off at turn 1, trying to defend the position from Tsunoda. Thankfully no damage for him, but that will ruin his tyres a little bit, so that's not going to do him any good in this race, and may jeopardize his lead in this championship a little bit going into next round and towards the end of the season. Now Piastri starting to make moves, gets past one of the Aston Martin, sorry, Mercedes. God, I'm getting my cars all wrong. I think that's Albon again, who's struggling even more now with his car issue. At the front, Norris is now caught up to Tsunoda and is going for the move into turn 1. It seems like Perez has kind of fallen back a little bit here. He's now down in P5, although I believe he's on a bit of a different strategy to these other guys. But yes, that is now Norris up into the lead of this Mexican Grand Prix. Piastri now starting to make some moves back through the order now on Fernando Alonso in the Sauber. Zhou's just ahead of these guys, a lap down. So yeah, that just shows how bad of a day Zhou is doing. He's a minute and 3 seconds behind Hulkenberg in 19th. So Piastri not able to quite get past Alonso there, but he's going to go to the inside into the next corner, shoot his car up there. Bit of an aggressive move, and that is position made for Piastri. Going to try and fly ahead a little bit more now, but just after that happened, now Zhou has Alonso right behind him, and look at that, just gets shoved, just gets completely shoved off, rear wing damage, and Zhou's day is getting even worse. He is having a terrible time. To be fair, he probably should have let Alonso go there. He really didn't let him go like he should have. But yeah, now Zhou has major rear wing damage. We're so far behind now, we can't change the rear wing. So I believe at this point I decide, you know what, we're just going to retire the car because there's no point wasting, you know, potentially damaging another front wing and just damaging more components. We're so far behind anyway that, yeah, we retire Zhou from this race. So that is not what we wanted. But thankfully, Piastri is still trying to make moves. He's in a bit of a battle with Alonso here at the moment, actually. They're swapping position constantly, but I'm trying to get him away from him. And we actually managed to, well, I think Sainz, this is Sainz re-coming through the order after his spin. He now gets past Piastri as well. That gave us a little bit of a buffer to Alonso for a little while here, and we're going to try and get away from Alonso because he just keeps coming back at us. And we actually managed to 4 seconds now, the gap to Alonso behind, so we're getting some pace on that Sauber. Now we're going for a move on Leclerc. The two Alpines running in pretty good positions at the moment. No points for them at this time, but still good positions. And we managed to split the two, getting past Leclerc and up into P14 for Oscar Piastri. Now comes Valtteri Bottas a couple of laps later, and he's going to be a bit of a he's going to be a bit of mincemeat going down to turn 1 because he doesn't have DRS, and Piastri gets a move done pretty easily on him. And once again, we're just going to try and push past these guys. I told Piastri to, you know, make the overtake work, and we did. And now he has a pretty big gap. Comes into the pits for his final pit stop onto a set of medium compound tyres for the final, 23 laps of this race, and see what we can do. A few laps later, once again, we're further down the order now because of that pit stop, but now we should have the pace on a few of these cars and be able to make moves. This is where we seem to do better at the end of races. We get back past Leclerc once again, up to P14 on lap 54. A couple of laps later, and now Perez on his strategy is going for a move on Russell to get on the podium. Beautiful late braking move down the inside into the stadium section, and that is Perez up into a podium position. Lewis Hamilton is looking good for some points for Haas here as well. He's now battling with Max Verstappen. Hamilton versus Verstappen battle continues, but this time it's Haas versus Aston Martin. And Hamilton's doing a very good job in that Haas. To be fair, even though they're still the 7th quickest car, as there's a yellow flag now, that Haas seems to have really picked up some performance later on in this season, as Sargent apparently runs wide. Nothing really new there. But Hamilton gets ahead of Verstappen. They're still going to have a bit of a squabble, but Piastri now has caught up to the back of Bottas, and we are absolutely gapping Leclerc. We have the pace on these medium tyres at the end of this race. We can push a little bit more as well. We get past Bottas up to P13. It's 14.5 seconds to Ricciardo though. He has an issue. We're going to catch him. We're going to catch up to him, but I think it's going to be too much to actually catch him by the end of the race. Verstappen actually managed to get back past Hamilton and is now pushing on. Has just got past Magnussen, so he's looking at a very good result in that Aston Martin, but it's going to be Lando Norris who wins this race.
Norris picks up first place.
Just an incredible demonstration of why they belong in Formula One.
Yes, it is Lando Norris's first win in Formula One here for Ferrari at the Mexican Grand Prix. He wins from Tsunoda, and Perez does manage to get on the podium for his first podium of the season at his home Grand Prix. For Piastri, it's P13, no points for us, but not an awful result. Only dropped 1 position considering where the car was on pace. I think P13 is a pretty decent enough job.
Lando Norris certainly loves a podium, heading up there now to celebrate again.
We can't quite imagine how that must feel. It's their first F1 victory after all.
A carnival atmosphere, as always, for the Mexico City Grand Prix.
Great result for Norris and for Ferrari with a double podium there. Tsunoda just missing out on a win once again. That's a couple of times now he's been in the Red Bull and he's had to come home second best. He hasn't got a win so far this season, but Norris, that is his first win. He's had quite a few podiums this season and has brought in some... He was the driver that, you know, was consistently bringing in points at the start of the season. Yeah, finally gets his win. Max Verstappen gets fastest lap though in the Aston Martin in P6. It's a very good result for him. Gasly P5 in that RB, with Ocon P7 in the other RB, showing that they have some very good pace as well. And for honestly, unfortunately for us, we do not come home with any points. Sainz still leads the championship, although Russell has caught up. He's now, I think, within 25. I think he's 25 points behind now. So kind of right there with a race win for Russell. So it's getting a little bit closer at the front. Zhou Guan Yu still at the bottom of the championship though. And in the Constructors' Championship, Red Bull don't pick up the most points. That would be Ferrari. But yeah, points all the way down to P7 in the Constructors with Haas, picking up another 2 points to now be well clear of us at Williams. So I think P8 is about as good as we're going to do. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video.